All right. So, oh my gosh, how is push week going for you? Fill me in.
It's going. It's
Yay.
going. There's just, there's always so many things, right? And it's
There is.
just like trying to do it all. It's like,
Right.
you know, but that's one thing about push weeks is it's like the other day was like a push week or the other week, right? Because
Right.
it's always like a guaranteed push week on the last week of leader in action,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
Like
for
planning
sure.
for that point and stuff. And I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna make this happen, but like just gotta put your head down. And so I keep telling myself that for this week too. So
Right. I know, right? Head down. Let's go. So a little background, because I know that there's a few people on the call who haven't quite done, push weeks yet. Like take us back a little bit to like, I know you were doing them for a while, like, or we were as a team, like a few years ago, and then we kind of stopped. And then you jumped back into them and why, and how that has improved your business.
yeah. Yeah, we started doing them. God, I don't know. Like it could have been way back in 2015, like at least 16, I would say, maybe 16. But it was when like, you know, Riley and I had gone to Celebration, whatever that year that was in San Diego. And, even though like we were doing decent in the business where I wouldn't have to go back to the why, but like finances were still a struggle. And I was like, we gotta, like, what are we doing? Like, this is our solution and we're just sitting here. So the Grow Week was part of like really taking our business seriously and trying to figure out how to get other people to start doing kind of what we were doing. And there was only like literally there was three of us that started push weeks, and that's one thing really want to emphasize with people is, I don't know all of your guys' organizations. And so if you feel like I don't have like business builders, like that's okay. Like it's like you have to be the first to go, right? And you have to be the first one to start like making those goals for yourself and everything. And I mean, the great thing about this larger team is even if you're not like financially tied to people, like we all have relationships with each other, like find people within this team that, you know, maybe are similar to you or whatever that is, that you can do push weeks together, right? Because as you do more push weeks, your team will grow, right? And then each time you do them, the goal is to always have, even if it's just one more person, and it doesn't have to be these people that are like, oh my God, I'm going to be an Isogenics millionaire. It's being able to be like, hey, like we're having push week, and it's like being intentional the week before on like, what your goal is the week before. Cause what we found out is like the prep week to Grow Week is like so crucial, because if you don't go into the week knowing what your plan is, what your goal is, like you're going to waste the first 2 days of your Grow Week. Right. And it's being, like we just now know in our household, like my husband knows, like when I say we have a Grow Week, he knows what that means. And he knows that like I'm going to be doing stuff a lot and he's picking up the slack. Right. So it's important too, is you're planning these things. So like whoever else is living in your house, like even your kids, right? Like letting them know like, hey, mom's going to have to do, mom's doing this, right? But like involve your family into it, like being able to say like, mom's going to work really hard to hit her goal this week. If we do, we're going to do this, right? Like we're all going to celebrate together. So like they're a part of it. And so like, I don't know how many times I've told Avery in the past, like, mommy's doing this, mommy's doing that, because we're going to go to Disney World. And that's what Isogenics is like. That's been a big thing on my vision board for my kids, right? Like I never went and I like want to take them. And that in the past was not something financially that we could do. Of course, now, COVID and everything else, but like involve your family. And it just really takes that prep work. Our Grow Weeks, we used to call them Blitz Weeks. We used to call them Push Weeks. We used to call them Rank Advancement Weeks. And I really like the term grow. I think it's a little less invasive, right? Like I feel like pushing like brings out kind of, I don't want a negative energy, right? But like I want people to grow as a person. I want them to grow their business. I want them to grow their people, all those kind of things. And so, when we first started, just because we were working with people that didn't know how to do the business. And so what we ended up doing, I don't even think I have it anymore, but we created a point system for our team. And it was like the basic stuff that we wanted people to be doing, right? Like You got to, you got a point for making a post. You got a point for enrolling somebody if it was under 100 BB. If it was over 100 BB, it was 2 points and whatever else. And it was like, there was 3 of us together that put incentives together, right? Because none of us had a lot of money to like fork out a bunch of prizes. So like find other people if you want to give incentives. Like, it doesn't have to be just you. It doesn't have to be huge things, but it's like, like a couple of the incentives that I've just given out for our team. Like, I don't know if you, wherever mine is, like Isogenics has the little flute glasses, like the champagne flutes, and the little smooth, they're $10. And they're like, I think they're just gorgeous little glasses, and like, what a fun little gift, right? And just giving that extra thing that people like have an incentive to move towards. So, we had the point system. We ended up pulling away from that just because we did that in the fall. And then it was that January that Isogenics had a crystal reset. And it's like, okay, well, if you can't run for like $2,000, like our prizes aren't going to do much. So we just kind of really used what Isogenics was already giving as an incentive. Obviously on top of all the other, things that they give too. And a lot of, when we did it, it worked. I mean, I was stuck at 3-star, and the first time I hit was on Ghost Cycle. So I didn't even hit the bonus at that point. But when we were doing those grow weeks, like super intentionally, like, maybe it wasn't even the first round, but I know that when I hit, 3-star the first 2 times for hitting the bonus, then like a month or 2 later, I hit 4-star, and 3 months later, I hit 5-star. It was all doing consistent grow weeks every 4 weeks, and so we would set the goals, right? And we would keep each other accountable, and we're pushing together and all that kind of stuff. And so when you're doing it every single 4 weeks, like those people, that new group of people that you just had order, guess what? 4 weeks later, those people's orders are coming out again, right? And then you're adding new people to the mix, right? And it's just something that we did, and like Amanda said, we did get away from doing it. Honestly, it was for a lot of different reasons. Like I had a baby. I actually had a lot of medical issues after Patrick. I had people leave my team, all the things happened, right? And, I had to honestly do a lot of work on myself to get myself back to being probably a more present leader, right? And deciding that I was going to make that change and, get my act together, which, came 2020 last year, where I was like, this is my year, like, because our business did take a really big dive into, 2018, 2019. I've shared my numbers with, in the Be Brave business group, we just plummeted. I mean, we did, but going back to like having that intention, having that mindset, and being like, this is going to change. Like I took my health more seriously, like I got back into working out. Like I worked out like 5 times in 2019. Like I was a hot mess, and so I became intentional about, that all things Isogenics, and we started getting back into grow weeks. And obviously COVID happened, but like, you can still do a lot of amazing things, thank God it's a virtual business, right? Like that didn't change. And so, we just got really consistent with it, but it's, making, we're in a grow week right now. And like, I have maybe 16 names of my downline of goals. So I try to gather goals. I have them on a whiteboard by my desk just so that they're in front of me. I keep track of my isopulse to try to see what's going on with people, also my leader in action, and trying to just see where people are at, giving people ideas on what they can be doing, right? Back to the point thing, like people didn't know what to be doing. So like we did the point system to make sure that they knew that they could, earn points to do those things. Incentives have changed and everything else. Like last year I did a few times where I did like one big prize, right? Like I gave out like a coach purse the one time, and whatever else, and then one time I gave out 2 bigger prizes so more people could win. And then the last 2 or 3 times I've done 9 different prizes ranging anywhere from $10 to $50 so that more people can win, and kind of keeping it more simple. It used to be, if you were a personally enrolled person, rank advances, you get into the drawing, and then it was always like the top 2 enrollers would get into the drawing as well. The last couple of times I've kept it simple, where it's like anybody that enrolls 2 people, gets into the drawing for the prizes. And it's just ends up being something that, it's a new thing for us to talk to people about, right? And it's like we can talk to people about like, hey, like I see that you're sitting on 3 cycles. Like I don't know if you know that you have 100 people enrolled under you, and if that person hasn't enrolled anybody, they're going to go, what in the heck are you talking about? you know and it's just like, hey, like I'd love to help you grab that. And then all of a sudden you have some new things where it's like, on top of getting your products paid for, like our team is doing this really awesome stuff, like would love to help you not only grab those cycles, but let's help you grab some of those prizes. And here's how I'm helping people do it, right? And so it's just a matter of being consistent. And I'll tell you that, sometimes we do grow weeks, and sometimes, I think last time was okay. Maybe the time before that, I did not have 16 names on my board, right? And it's like you just kind of gather who's going to give you a goal and you run with those people, right? Because we're not dragging people, and you can only do so much in helping people, get there and stuff. So, it's been the most effective way, and two, like I've said this a million times, where like the only time that my business has grown is when I do set a goal and there's a deadline, and, you go for it, right? And I know not everybody's mindset is quite there, just because, I'm 9 years in, it's a little bit different, right? And the way that I do my business is different, but like treating a grow week like you're taking it 100% serious. It's do or die. And that's when my businesses have been, my growth has been the most effective, right? It's just like I just said, like, like I've been wanting to like get on a call with Kathy Coover, like for real. And so like the fact that like I need 3 enrollments and I'm at 0 right now, like you're going to bet your butt that until 11 o'clock on Sunday, I mean, we had a push week anyways, but like, that's what I'm excited about. So like, what are you excited about? Like, why are these push weeks important to you? Because you're not going to push like that unless like there's a connection, right? Because I find so often that people get to like Thursday, like, right, we're on Thursday, and they've set this goal, no matter how small or big, and they just completely pull themselves out of the game, thinking that there's no way that it's going to happen. And it's like the most wrong thing to do, because it's really like, it's always like the last day that like crap comes together is unbelievable. And it's almost like the universe is saying, how bad do you want this? And if you just keep working, like really good things are going to happen. And I've had enough grow weeks where I don't hit my goal, but the trickling aftermath of what happens in my business because I did push is always so worth, what that is. Like the first time I tried to hit Crystal Executive in the reset, I was up at my parents' house because that's when my husband was working. Like I would have to do that. I'd have to take Avery up to my parents' house so that I could just bust my butt, and have her watch Avery. And I remember waking up that Sunday and I was at 2 or 3 consultants. And I remember thinking, what, like, this is stupid. Like, what am I doing? Like, there's no way I'm going to hit this. Like, I should just throw in the towel right now. And I will tell you, I did end up enrolling a couple people under people, so it probably wasn't as true or whatever, but I hit 10 consultants at 10:35 p.m. and was like shaking, like so many things like started falling apart, and then things came back together, but it was 10:35 I got that last enrollment in, and I know that I've helped people on my team. Like, I know Michelle couldn't hop on tonight, but like, being so committed to your people's goals, where like, even if I like have not hit my goal or I have hit my goal, like also my husband knows that like I will still be up until 11 o'clock doing whatever I can to like make sure that like my people at least know that I'm 100% in the game with them until that time, because like I care about what their goals are. And I know, Michelle's gotten a couple enrollments, and I remember Tammy like literally putting in enrollments at like literally 10:50, and she's like, can you put in one for me? And I don't remember if that happened or not, but she like, it's like time crunch. So
if we can, I want to stop you for a second, because I remember like back in, was it just last year? No, I think it was 2020 that you're just like, I'm in, like, this is my
Mhm.
year, right? Wasn't it like super early last year
Mhm.
when you just like fully recommitted after so many challenges and struggles that you went through? Like, what were the first steps that you did? Because I know you said you like recommitted to your health, recommitted to your business, like to give them tangible like steps that you
Yeah.
took last year that really got you
Mhm.
back into momentum and back, taking care of yourself too.
Yeah. Um, well, I think, like obviously, like we just talked about the grow weeks, and I really do think that, I mean, I always use the products, but like I said, it wasn't working out. I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna like get in like the best shape. We just know that like when we're fueling our body with this stuff, like when you do like I'm on day 2 of a cleanse, right? I can honestly tell you that there has not been a time in 9 years that I've done a 1 or 2 day cleanse. I don't wake up the next day going, oh my God, why are people not doing this? Right. And like it makes you want to share it, right? And so I'm like, I got to get myself back into that kind of energy with the products. Another thing, stepping out of your comfort zone, like committing to, figuring out where you want to go, right? And it was like, all right, I was trying to make a roadmap for myself too. Like, this is where I would like to be at the end of 2021. And, we did a super Saturday in Madison. And I'll be honest with you, 8 years in, like, did I know the compensation plan? Yeah. Like, was I great at like drawing it out? No. And so I actually volunteered myself to do the compensation plan at Madison because I was like, I'm not going to force myself to do it unless I've got to do it in front of a whole room of people, right? And so it's challenging myself to grow, and digging into those kind of things and figuring out where I needed to work, right? Because there's a lot of areas I still need to work on. I'm a lot better in some areas, but like there's, figuring that sort of thing out. Refiguring out where people are at, right? Using like the new associate checklist, or not the checklist, but the questions that we have, and like trying to get people on the phone, and it's just like, hey, like I'm doing this, and like I'm super excited about like what I'm going to accomplish this year and like where I'm going with this. And it's just obviously right now, right? Like the stars are aligning in isogenics, right? Like things have always been amazing, but like holy cow, like you want to hop on the rocket ship right now, because a year from now, like you're gonna regret not taking advantage of it. It's just the truth of it, you know, and talk to people and be like, hey, like, what is it that like you really want to get out of isogenics, like product wise, like income wise, even if that's just getting their products paid for, and even if it's just on your push weeks, you're creating one consultant, right? If you're just helping people get to consultant, it doesn't have to be these massive goals that these people have to have. And I'm, like you guys know, like you create consultants here and there and your business starts to grow, right? And they start to see that money. And then it's like, hey, next grow week, it's like, hey, we got you to consultants. Like, let's grab that crystal manager bonus, whatever that is, right? Um, but it's just being consistent. And the other thing is that I really committed to showing up on social media all the time. And that was something like Amanda knows. You remember, Amanda, when we went for a walk in Hudson at one point? I wonder if I was pregnant with
With
Pat.
Avery, I think. Yeah, and you were
I
pregnant.
think I was pregnant. And you had just started Instagram and you were like trying to do a story. And I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, I don't know how to do this stuff. I'm like, scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta learn this stuff and I gotta show up.
Yeah.
You know?
You guys, honestly, the only reason I got back into Instagram was because I heard from some teenagers that was the thing. Like that was where the younger generation was. Honestly, like I had taken years, probably 3 years off of Instagram, maybe even more. I don't even know, because this wasn't that long ago. So maybe I took like 4 years off of Instagram because I was like, my business is fine. Like I don't need it. My demographic isn't on there. Well, turns out like that's where the young people are, and that's the future of our business, right?
Mhm.
And it was just a way to, there's a lot of people even our age now that are solely on Instagram. And so I just was like, I got to learn this. Like, if I want to go to the next level, I have to do something different. Right.
Mhm.
And so I got back on there, and yeah, I fumbled along. Yeah. Those stories were like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, can we just show that we're like together, like on a walk? And you just figured it out. And now I'm obsessed, but hey,
Right.
it's really fun, but it really is, there's a whole different network on
Mhm.
Instagram. Right.
Yeah. And it's
That's
just, and it's like those things where it's like, I knew in my head, I was like, at some point this will be easy, but like,
really-
it's just having to overcome that. And it's really so many aspects of this business too, where like I said, with the compensation plan, I having to like focus on it and force myself to learn it. Cause once you learn it, like you have that tool and that skill, right? You know, and push weeks are messy, or, girl weeks are messy to begin with, but like you will start to grab more people, and have that group of people to do that with, which is so powerful.
So you start the week before grabbing your teams, you set your own goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you dig within your team for their goals,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you do that what about like, well, for sure before the week starts, but what, like midweek the week before, or when do you start like grabbing?
I try to, it doesn't always happen that way, but I, at least try to, because like I want people to go in knowing what that's going to look like.
Teresa, I was just going to say that. So what do you suggest for the people that maybe brand new and don't yet have builders on their team?
I think, finding, and I don't know if you know many people in this group, right? But it's finding maybe some people where they're in the same position, right? And they understand what you're dealing with, and, setting your own goal, and, let's, I don't know who your enrolling sponsor is, but like saying like, having somebody that will keep you accountable, like create your own goals, right? Because we all start with our business center where there's nobody there, right? We all started that way. And it's a matter of like, okay, like I'm going to set my goal, and, maybe you're setting your goal for 2 consultants or 1 consultant, right? And then hopefully that person maybe, it grows, right? You're always going to start from scratch to begin with, unfortunately. But, if you show up and you are acting like the leader, like, and set your intentions, like you will start to attract, some of those people into your life, into your business. And, something too, like Amanda, when Amanda and I started, neither of us knew what the heck we were doing, right? We didn't. Actually, it was funny. I did an 11-day to start off with, and then I bought a 30-day after. And I actually had a post come up today that in my memories that I had such great 11-day experience, like hopping into a 30-day. And I did like a very strict 30-day with somebody else that we used to work with at the Y back in the day. So, just really just showing up, and eventually those people will come and, post your journey, and, but yeah, and maybe Amanda knows, like maybe some people that are newer in this group that, would want to do this. And, and I am more than welcome. I can always post, just saying like, hey, our team's having a grow week, and just hopping in on just the energy, right? It's like it doesn't matter if you're financially connected, but it's just a matter of like doing it with somebody, so I can always let you guys know, like, hey, we're, this is a week we're setting goals, and, it's like having a cleansing buddy. Like it always is easier to have a cleansing buddy. 9 years later, I still need cleansing buddies. So,
right. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions before we keep rolling further? More questions? You can unmute yourself or drop it in the chat.
Yeah, Tia, I know. Didn't help that I couldn't talk about it at the Y very much.
I knew you both from the Y 9 years ago. We could have talked on the treadmill. Just kidding.
It's all in timing though, right? It truly.
I was just thinking back on how much money I spent on the Y and on Weight Watchers over those 12 years. And it's like $20,000 because it's, $100 a month times 12 for each of those.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it is.
So let's talk daily actions, because I think there's a few people on here that maybe are kind of in the same boat, like Teresa was asking, like, what if you don't have a team? What if you don't have, a business builder? Mm-hmm. I mean, my mind goes to, consistent daily actions. Mm-hmm. We still fumble, straight through it all. But what would you give, for advice on daily actions mm-hmm. for them to take, and what you take?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, fortunately, now you guys have the Penny app, and I truly believe that that's just like, I couldn't even, like, my jaw dropped on like what that does, right? There was things that I wasn't doing that was telling me to do, and so staying really consistent with that, even if it's, on the weekends to do the easy part, take it easy, like touching your business consistently, right? Because really the easy task of it, if you're staying up to date on it, it's probably going to take you 5 to 10 minutes to do, right? But I love the fact that, no matter where somebody's starting, right? And it kind of goes back to like, it kind of helps you do your 3, 3, and 3, like, right? Loving up, following up with people, like you're connecting with people. It's telling you who to connect with, how to make sure, like auto ships, like all that kind of stuff. Like make sure that you go into Penny so that you're taking care of your team, which all of that also has retention. I don't have to scroll Facebook now wondering, talking about the 3 by 3 by 3, right? Like connecting, following up and loving on 3 people. Like Penny takes care of a lot of that. So I would say consistently doing the Penny app. Oh, right. Yes, absolutely. So Penny app, and really making sure that you're showing up on social media, because it is so true that like, if you aren't doing that, like people assume that your storefront is closed, right? Or it's like, oh my gosh, like, where did she go? Like, oh, she must not do that anymore. Or, oh, there must be something up with that, right? Like you want to be present, and when we were moving last summer, I mean, that was one of my non-negotiables. Like, I just, I couldn't do much. I really couldn't do much with my business, but I'm like, as long as I show up on social media, nobody knows the difference. I still look like I'm just consistent and I'm on top of everything. I also stayed consistent with my birthday messages, sending birthday messages to people. And that would be another thing to add to the list, like social media, birthday messages, and the Penny app, right? And I try to always make sure that I've got stuff in my, I link my Instagram and Facebook story. So I try to make sure that I always have at least 5 things going in there as well. But as a starter, I mean, doing that stuff every single day, right? And if you don't have the follow-ups to do, that just means you need to like probably put it on the, the crank it up or the freight train for the connecting part, right? Of your Penny app, because you don't have those other tasks that are popping in there. And it's really about connecting with people, and having those conversations. And it doesn't have to be this weird, agenda with Isogenics, right? I know some of you had done Eric Worre's thing a while back. When was that? December? I don't know what it was. But his one goal was, you could choose between 3 different levels of contacts that you wanted to make. And he's like, I don't want anything business related. I want you just to contact people, love on people, ask them how they are. And I had some of the best connections and conversations, and it's something that like I get so caught up in trying to do business stuff where it's like, I do need to do more of that connecting. And so it's always like, if you're feeling stuck, like chat with people, talk with people, right?
I was just gonna say that I think we get so caught up in, I know I'm guilty of this too, you guys, like I'm not just saying, I always really, really do try to speak from experience 100%. I just want you guys to know that. And I've learned, through the years of like, there's a lot of days where I'm like, what should I do today? Or, like, I feel like I've made all my touch points with like auto ships and my new customers, my follow-ups and all of those things. And like, when I simply just send birthday messages or I send out a thank you for an order, like just, thank you for being a happy customer of mine, or thank you for being, one of my most valued customers or loyal customers, whatever works for you. Like literally just that, or maybe it has nothing to do with Isogenics. I love doing that. Like, how are you? It's still not weird, you guys, to ask someone, how are you? Like, we're still in really challenging times, or maybe it's something they've shared through their stories or posted on social media that you just really check in with them. It doesn't even have to be anything like crazy, any long messages. I find that my shorter messages get the best like responses, a lot of times people will open up to you like no one's asked him that question in a really long time. And it really just starts that conversation. And a lot of times I will find that, maybe a week later, maybe 2 months later, that they'll randomly reach out and ask about Isogenics because they just saw something different about you. And I love that, maybe, like I've started to get into the habit or routine of sending out, just 3 blank cards, every week or even every couple weeks. I'm not always on my game, not going to lie, but I really try to send just blank snail mail cards every now and then, maybe thanking someone for something they did for you or that you're thinking about them or, no reason at all. I think snail mail is one of my favorite things to continue to do as well. So don't feel like all of your touch points need to be, oh, Tia, love you. I just think don't feel like all of your touch points need to be Isagenix. Like, yes, you need to do your follow-ups. Yes, you need to check in with people on auto ships and see how their cleanse is going or collagen is going, and or really just see if collagen has arrived for them. Let's be honest. But don't feel like all of your touch points have to be about Isagenix, especially if you're showing up 110% on social media, consistently, throughout every single week, at least, 1 or 2 posts. People will know that your store is still open. I shared something yesterday about, making sure that you are sharing a before and after photo every single week of collagen on your page. Do not go a week without sharing a transformation photo. I can't even tell you, I was so crazy yesterday, so many things going on. And I was like, not even prepared to respond to messages yesterday. And not just you guys, not even just messages from brand new people, but from people within my team responding like, I'm ready to order, or, tell me more about this collagen, or whatever it may be, all because they saw my post, like it wasn't even their sponsor, but that's the blessing of our compensation plan, right? So I'm not even complaining, but I wasn't even prepared to respond to all these messages yesterday. And then, what do you know? Today I woke up to a message from a friend of a friend of a friend that actually found me on Facebook and was like, I've been using this other collagen for a while, did not see any transformation with it. I want to buy yours. And I sent her some info and she's like, no, I want to buy the link. I want the link to order. And I was like, oh, so I was like sending that on my way to like my house appointment today. Like the simplicity of this business, me always showing up on social media. I mean, she just really reached out for the link. And so I was like, oh, okay, here you go, and the simplicity of having a link, having videos to share. I've really tried super hard within this last like 6 months to give you guys tools that you can simply like create ease and like so much duplication in your businesses when people are asking about collagen packs or, good, better, best packs for weight loss or energy performance. You can simply share that image for collagen or our packs and systems, send a video, and they're like, I want to buy that one. I'll send a voice message, obviously with my story first. But then the next thing I have to do is like send a link, and say, hey, I added you to our group. Like so much of what we do now is like, I feel guilty. I don't have to get on the phone and talk to people. Like I really realize how much I miss talking to people on the phone, you guys, but that is just the day and age that we're living in and the ease of our business. Like, I still don't know why everyone's not doing this business yet, because we just send links because we share products we love and we get paid for it, right? What a blessing that is, and to have the products and compensation plan that we do. Okay, am I on a tangent? I just am like so grateful. I'm so grateful for how Isagenix has transformed in 9 years and that I didn't give up. And all I do is share my story and share the things that I love that I would share anyway, So there's my rant for today.
No, that's totally good. But it's so true though. Like we overcomplicate and they just keep making it easier, right?
Kristine, so back to when you and I started. I mean, I had a 1 and 3-year-old at home. I was 6 months pregnant with another. Matt was gone all day working. I had to literally like plan my calls to enroll people, you guys, at nap time, at bedtime. Like I spent so much time on the phone. We literally just need to send links and videos and voice message our story. People want to hear your voice. But like, this is bananas to me. Like it just is so crazy to me. And I'm like, if you start with 2 people, you get, $250 back for collagen or whatever. And so it just like, I honestly feel guilty. Like, I'm not even kidding. And it just, recommended carts, a game changer. So anyways, that IsoLife app, and just, you can't even imagine what they're still working on for us right now at corporate. Like what's even next on the list, right? So anyways, okay, I won't cut you off anymore.
No, you're good. No, I don't know that I really have much more to say about grow weeks and stuff, but they do work. And I mean, a lot of it is just about it's really about setting goals, right? Like, we all know that we need to have goals, like, otherwise I mean, if you don't have those goals with dates, like, I've done this in several periods of my time in isogenics, where I'll just float in the business, or I'll start floating downstream, because I'm not intentional, and it's just makes it easier. And and it's like, when you've got people under you that see that you're doing that, and they see the progression that you're having, like, people do want to know what you're doing, right? And they want to be a part of that. So no matter how many people you have, like, show up like you're, like, I think, Amanda, you've said a million times, like, people do 50% of what you do and 100% of what you don't do. And so, show up for yourself first, and other people will come behind.
Yeah. I mean, I seriously, you guys, I just realized today I've worn a gray shirt 4 days in a row this week. I talked about that on my story today, and I had someone that said, like, they related to me. They're like, yeah, my husband tells me all the time I always wear heather gray or whatever. Like, don't overthink with this business. Like, sharing who you are, what you're up to, what you're about, what you stand for, and dripping some isogenics into it along the way. Ashley, seriously, like, I just was like, oh my gosh, I'm hopping on here again, talking into my stories, and I have another gray shirt on. 4 days in a row. I have a lot of gray. Welcome to winter in Minnesota, y'all. But honestly, like, people connect to all that ridiculous stuff. It just, Sarah, I mean, people, like, if my friend yesterday who picked up Emery for volleyball, if she would have complimented me, and I would have been like, like, check it out, I just got this new curling iron, and it was like a 2-inch barrel, and started curling it. Like, they know that's not me. I'm like, yep, it'll be up tomorrow, like, in a ponytail. And I honestly, it was up in a ponytail. I just pulled it down for this call for you guys. But, like, that's just me, just be yourselves, and, stay consistent with your journey, and your goals. And just don't overcomplicate it. We have everything you guys need for yourselves, and also for your people to, like, get plugged in. Like, Kristine and I mean, we could talk forever on, like, what we didn't know when we started, and we still don't even know. We're doing a lot of days, you guys, like, for real. You guys know that's the truth. I mean, for real. But, like, we have team calls, we have product pages, we have challenges running. Like, I mean, there's so much that you guys, all you need to do is share your story and get people plugged into what this whole team is doing for you guys, just to plug your people in. And every day I'm reminded, when people reach out to me from other teams, like, how special our team is. Like, I think there's a lot of days where I just, like, we've had this team for so long, and I just love everyone on this team so much that I almost forget how special, like, in that every team has, this culture, and has people that are always there for them, no matter what. And so, stop, Ashley, it's not true. I love you. But seriously, like, there's so much in this team, and so many people you could reach out to just lift you up, or do, a Zoom call with you, or do, like, a power hour together, or whatever you want to call it. Like, just raise your hand and be willing to say, like, let's do this. I want to set a goal this week. Even if, like, Kristine and I don't reach out to you, and you want to make big things happen, like, we're here to help you. So, and Kristine, I was just thinking, like, maybe before, like, the next push week, we could do a call like this, and we could set goals, or,
yeah,
like, if there's other people that want to hop in, or need some guidance, with that, we can, we're always open to suggestions. Like I just said, we don't have it all figured out, but we want to be able to help, everyone too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing to keep in mind too is, like, I know that, I think everybody on here has been with isogenics for a little bit now, and we can get so caught up in, like, the past of, like, coulda, shoulda, woulda in our businesses, and, like, man, I should have done more, could have done more. And, just know that, like, you can decide today to, like, just not even, none of where you've been in this business actually really matters at this point, but, like, just choosing right now that it's like, I'm going to commit to taking these different action steps, and it's amazing what can happen when it's that mindset shift, right? like, this is going to happen. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get crystal clear, and things can take off so, so quickly.
I have a question, Kristine.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about, okay, doing grow week every, like, maybe every 4 weeks or something like that. And is there, so I feel like, so you're building the team during that week.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, if it's during the same week, that week is going to be really high compared to other weeks.
We did have that a little bit when we were reaching for 5-star. We, there was a period of time that it did, we did have a week that was, a lot crazy higher. And then,
I guess it's
but it
not
does kind of end up trickling into each of the weeks too, because ends up moving a little bit. But what I can say is overall our income grew exponentially by doing them. Your total in the month is gonna, no matter what, it's gonna grow, right?
Yeah.
So what I would say is that, the effort that you put into your push week isn't always going to show up push week.
And
right?
yeah, it's true. Yep.
So, I mean, your enrollments may come a week down the road or another, or, maybe your efforts during push week are, developing a new associate, and then maybe the next week they're consultant, so I think that's a really big part of push week that I've seen so many people almost put more effort and time and dedication into their business that one week than maybe they do all month, honestly. But they end up doing more that month than they probably would have the month before if there wasn't a push week. Does that make sense? So like, like taking the action steps and digging into your business, like it ends up trickling into the other weeks. It's like the effort you put in now may not even, show up for 4 months. Right.
Yeah. Like I had a girl that's been wishy-washy on the collagen, and to Amanda's point of posting, collagen stuff, she was kind of backing out of it, and then she wanted to do it in the price, and I was trying to help her get it paid for, and she's whatever. So I ended up following up with her again this week because we have Grow Week. Or no, I didn't. Did I follow? I don't know. Anyway, she reached out to me today, and she's just like, hey, I've been seeing more photos. I really want to do it, but I think I have to wait 3 weeks, right? So now, because of me following up, because I'm trying to follow up with everybody this week, that's going to come 2 to 3 weeks from now. The next one that we're going to do actually isn't 4 weeks later. So we usually do 4 weeks later, but it's going to be 5 weeks later. So we're going to be doing it the week of April 5th. So obviously you guys know that Tammy had done a call early on, or like several weeks ago, right, on the program she's doing and the referrals and stuff. So she always has her enrollment weeks. And so obviously if our Grow Weeks can correspond to her enrollment weeks, then we have, our team has a bigger week. And so we're going to hold off of doing that. So we're strategizing a little bit with the next one, but and it's just about doing one a month, right? Like it's just that consistency of building your business really intentionally, obviously all the time, but it's good to have the push in the direction.
Ashley's asking, what's your follow-up? Like how, and Ashley, can unmute yourself if you want, but she's just asking, maybe like she's had people that said they wanted to try collagen and didn't. I mean, we all have that, just so you know, Ashley.
Oh man, I'm trying to even think of, I created a message the other night and I had to have my husband look at it. For real. I'm like, oh, can you look at this? Because trust me, I get in my head too. I'm trying to see if I can even come up with one that I have actually have liked is just like, hey, I thought of you. I'm, seeing if you're, I know we talked about getting ready on Isogenics, I just wanted to let you know I'm going to be putting in orders on Thursday. If you're ready to go, it's just like, hey, I thought of you. I'm going to be putting in orders, like, don't want you to miss out for the week or whatever. Or, when you have like a Grow Week or you have incentives, it's just like, hey, I wanted to follow up with you one more time because, it's the last day for this, I'm putting in orders or whatever else. Sometimes I'll send a regular message, then I'll change it up and I'll send a voice message, right? Just trying to connect, right? If there's something new and exciting for them that I think that they might want to take advantage of. But I try to change it up a little bit on like my approach with it. I've done a follow-up before that sometimes like when I originally was doing collagen, like I was doing Hillary Courtney's one. So I did like the regular follow-up and then I got ghosted, right? Because I still get ghosted. And then it was like, hey, I'm not sure if you got my message, but da 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 da. And then they're like, oh crap, like, right? I'm like calling them out because they didn't message me back a little bit. It was in a nice way. But I had a lot of responses and like, oh, sorry, like I totally thought I messaged you or whatever else. But just changing it up. I've done one that was also really effective as far as, I don't do it all the time with people just because I can't just send it all, every single follow-up all the time, but just say like, hey, I just want to follow up. Like, I know that things get busy, even, or like I've thrown myself under the bus, like, hey, so sorry I haven't followed up sooner, right? Because I meant to, things might be crazy for you too. So I wanted to follow up, just wanting to see where you were at with Isagenix. I know that you had X, Y, and Z, for goals. And I've done let me know if you're a 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1 is, yes, I'm ready to get going. Like, let's chat. Like 2, like I'm interested, but cost is holding me back. 3, I'm interested, but I have a few questions, right? And you could just leave it at that. But people have just been, it's like, I'm a 1, I'm a whatever. It's like a quick response that they can give, but like, it gives me feedback as far as where they're at. Like, great, you have questions? Like, what are your questions? Like, hey, like how many times do we get people that initially say that cost is holding them back? Well, great. Like, now I know what your problem is and I can fix that and I can have a conversation with you. Right. So just some random ideas that, I'll change things up and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, if we have like a collagen challenge coming up, or maybe you're starting your 2nd month of collagen and you're like, hey, do you want to do this month with me?
mm-hmm.
Like, don't overthink it by any means. And also just be sure to, for every follow-up, try to do like a personal non-Isagenix follow-up in there too.
Right. And I think that, and I was talking about that just with my team today, because I do feel like myself, and I'm very guilty of this the last couple of months, because we've been so excited about collagen and so collagen heavy. And then we've had a collagen challenge that like, and then it's like, then we do a reset. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like looking back the last 2 months, I really haven't, for some of these people, done anything but like messaging them about Isagenix, And so I'm like, let's shift after Grow Week and let's like really, really focus on like connecting without Isagenix, right? Because it needs to happen. So I don't know if you guys are feeling that way too with like messaging people about all of that stuff, but it's, always good to add in the other stuff too. So.
Any other questions? This is so good. I actually like that it's a little bit smaller group so we can ask more stuff. This is great.
Mm-hmm.
Danny, are you there? Do you have your camera off for some reason? Are you like in your robe or something? Yeah, she is. Samantha.
I'm not naked.
Pretty girl. I'm not naked. Oh my God. So I want Danny to hit on a little bit on Leader in Action. She's not even, clearly we didn't have this planned. But like every time I talk to Danny, she's like, why didn't I start Leader in Action sooner? Why didn't I start like, it's so cute. Samantha, oh, let's see what you made. Is that Dora like in a Leo or something? Oh, cute. I love her.
New gymnastics. She started gymnastics again.
Oh, gymnastics, leotard. Yeah, I love it. I love her. But literally, and so actually our next call will be on Monday the 15th. It's going to be moved to Monday because that's what works for Cal. And Cal is going to talk on Leader in Action in pools. And so I want to have Danny share just a tiny bit on like what Leader in Action and following it honestly has done for her with actually putting in the work too. But like, what has that done for your business? Because it is bananas to me. It's the same time. Yeah, same time, 8 o'clock.
Sorry, my kid. Yeah, the Leader in Action, I always heard about it and saw it, but I thought it was silly.
Yeah.
But that's how my life always works. Like, why follow something that is supposed to work for you? Just do my own way. And then I started doing it, and all of a sudden, seeing the numbers on there just made me like work harder, where you got more points helping your team. Like, who cares if I enrolled anyone? I was like, well, I don't care. I want you to enroll someone. I want to help you, rank advance, whatnot. And that's just kind of seeing that those points, and also knowing that I had already been a director before and I needed to get back to director to get in these new pools that they're resetting the pool. So that's why in January, I worked my butt off to go from associate and get back to director, just to like be like, okay, this is what these leader in action things are. And there's points. This is what I need to do. So
yeah, I think it helped with major duplication on your team.
oh yeah.
To say it simple, if I can speak for you.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I showed my sister-in-law Megan. I'm like, look, last month you got 15. She's like, is that good? I'm like, yeah. Like, so
I love it. Danny always gives it to you straight. You can hear it from her. All right, thank you.
yeah. So yes, if you're not doing leader in action, just start it.
I just started it a couple months ago. I mean, I again, don't know why I wasn't. Know that I should have been, you know. And Michelle, obviously, she's just been rocking her business. I mean, she was doing it, tracking that months before, because she wanted to go to Fiji, you know, like she was on top of it, you know. And so then, of course, you know, then this year I was like, when they started changing some of the pools, right, according to leader in action, I was like, I better.
A lot of that thing with Michelle, I think, had to do with being on that Susan call, Momentum Monday call, because Susan always is like, everyone get your leader in action sheet out. Let me see what it is. Even if you have zeros on it, show it to your upline and every week. And because Michelle and I are on that call quite often together on Mondays. And that's kind of where it was like, oh yeah, this is where all the, you know, excitement is coming from. And then just hearing other leaders on that call, like Tanis, she has like competitions within her group for leader in action. Like, let's make it a team goal that everybody gets 100 points for our whole team, like a combination. I think that's what she does and stuff like that. So kind of like
staying plugged into the calls and what's offered you guys is, I mean, I think a lot of times, you know, it's just like, oh, it's another call or whatever it may be. But I mean, especially right now when we don't have events, you guys, like these corporate events are usually what propel us every quarter to stay motivated. Like that's what we need to continue to have, that internal motivation to hop on the calls when we don't want to, when we're tired, when we have stuff going on. You know, if another team is offering up their call, take them up on it. You're going to learn something different from everyone. And that is just, it's such a beautiful thing that we have with Isogenics that you really just won't find anywhere else. And I think that's really sometimes, you almost don't realize what you have, you know, but take advantage of those calls, you know, create them as like an event on your calendar, like you would like a business meeting at your 9 to 5. Like you have to treat it like that if you want your business to grow. Yeah. And just to fuel your mind. Like, I think, you know, Kristine, one of the things you said when you got back into action last year was working on yourself. And I think so much of that is also personal development. Can you share some of what you maybe do for personal development too?
Not as much as I should. I'll be honest, I have kind of slacked in that department this last year, honestly, which is why I created a book club in my product group, because I was like, I know that I need more of it. And so I wanted to create that to hold myself accountable, because I need to do more reading. So we're doing Are You a Badass? Because I've had that book and stuff. And I also am in the middle of Kathy Coover's. But, you know, in general, like, you know, because we go up to my parents quite a bit. You know, if I can, I'll listen to stuff in the car as long as the kids, you know, are allowing it and aren't crazy about it. You know, but I love, you know, podcasts. That helped me out so much at the beginning. Like, did anybody remember David Wood's like Amplified Network Marketing podcasts? Like, you can still access those, by the way. I shared a few with my team, like those and the Isogenics ones, and like just being able to like listen to some of those things like while you're doing stuff, you know, of just feeding your brain. But I do think I knew that I was lacking in that area, which is, like I said, why I'm starting to holding myself accountable to it. But podcasts have always been a big thing. Reading's hard for me. So listening to stuff.
But I will also say, like, you're really good about getting on a lot of different calls.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's your half hour of personal development, personal growth for that day. Yeah. For sure. All right, y'all. Are we good for tonight? This was so fun.
It, you know, something that helped me too is I did do the GoPro. Kristine and I did the GoPro thing, and it's not necessary. It's not isogenics, but it's just network marketing, and they don't talk about individual businesses there, but it's just another, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but it's just another view of network marketing, and it's encouraging.
For sure.
Yeah, Emily Vavra, I'm sorry, Emily Vavra she's Isogenics, gave a pin drop speech. You could hear a pin drop. You could hear her story. I mean, I cried when I listened to her. It was just, and how she's just so encouraging. If you guys want to be inspired, look up Emily Vavra on YouTube and just listen to her talk.
You guys, honestly, if there's a leader that you really resonate with, just look them up on YouTube and you can find a ton of stuff, whether it's from Isogenics events or other events, or, you know, even team calls like this, like mine are out there for people to watch. So yeah, I mean, definitely find people that you resonate with and read or listen to that as well. If you guys ever want like book recommendations, that reminds me, I probably should update like our business group file we have on book recommendations, but yeah.
So Sarah, the Michael Klaus one, are you talking about the lessons in leadership one? Is that the one maybe? Anyways, if that is a good one. I don't remember where I'd first heard that. Oh, Laura Stevens. Her and I think Lindsay were taking their team through that. And so that I think is also, as you're, you know, even going back through it again, if you've done it before, but like, as you have, it's kind of meant for like, if you had a new person, you could stick them into that podcast and it walks them through so many great things. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I kind of shut my brain off of that. And that should be something that I'm like reposting, as having new people join the team and stuff. So that's a really, really good one.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have, thanks, Kristine. I'm so glad you guys had questions too. It's way more fun when it's conversational, especially when you're speaking. Have other people talk to you back. I mean, not my kids talk back to me, but you guys can talk back to me, you know. But honestly, we're trying to put together right now a manager push. So super, super fun. So after this push week, there's always stuff we have work that we're working on for you guys ongoing, but we're going to do some prep work with that next week. So be on the lookout for that in our business group, and then really just helping your people to get to manager. So anyways, some resources, some fun prizes, and lots of, you know, neat stuff with that too. But just wanted to give you a heads up, as if you guys, I mean, you guys always, you know, kind of see what's up and coming, but just wanted to throw that out there too. So
I put the link to Lessons in Leadership in the chat.
Thanks. Yeah, all that, girl. Thank you. I have never even heard of that. So, all right. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any questions. No. Well, awesome. I kind of like this midweek thing. This was fun. All right.
Awesome.
Thanks everyone. Yeah.
Fun on your trip.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, Kristine. Thank you, everyone. Bye.